Christmas Day, and then if we can get to Christmas Day, then we'll be okay for 2 days, and then we turn right around and have New Year's, and it's just the hardest 2 weeks of the year for us to recruit blood donors and to meet our hospital needs.
Yeah,
So,
because you, for all intents and purposes, you lose 2 to 4 days in that 2 weeks every year.
yeah, Christmas being on a Saturday is always a little better, obviously. But what hurts us is the amount of trauma that we have because of the number of cars that are on the road, and they're expecting another record day full of automobile travel, and that just leads to more accidents. So more accidents, more blood. It's going to be. This week is always tough, but this weekend was really tough for us. So we're just trying to get through it. And then Christmas comes and we can take a break. There's not a whole lot of blood used on Christmas Day, but then you're right back at it the next day for the New Year's, the prep for that. And the roads are just jammed. So.
They really are. The roads just fill up, and there's nothing. There's not really anything you can do about it because people are traveling to and from. But it does look like the bad accident that happened over the weekend, yesterday morning,
Yeah.
that closed
exactly.
I-75 in Wildwood from 4 in the morning till 10 in the morning. 6 people in a truck. Truck missed a curve,
Yeah.
off the road. 3 people dead. 3 people in the hospital. Those 3 people in the hospital, were in surgery and everything. And the 3 people that were dead, 2 of them weren't declared dead till they got to the hospital. So I'm sure they used blood as well, trying to get them stabilized.
Yeah, I know that's just one of the what they call mass transfusion protocol for trauma that they had at UF Health in Gainesville this weekend. So it was just a really high usage. And again, the only way we can replace those units that those human beings used is if other human beings donate it. And that blood has to be on the shelves, ready to go, tested, processed, and at the hospital. And we just need people to donate blood. And this has been just a crazy year. I mean, it's been feast or famine for us, and right now we're in a famine, and our blood use is skyrocketing. So, give blood.
Go out this week, give blood if you're free for a few moments. What's it, Galen? How long is it literally to give blood with the getting in, doing the paperwork, giving the blood? Then they monitor you to make sure that you're safe to leave and everything. What's the actual process time wise?
35 minutes. 35 minutes.
In and out in half an hour, basically.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's going to vary slightly if there's a wait or something. But if there's a wait, just be patient, and we need everybody to give right now. That's so. If there's a line, say a small blessing and thank everybody else who's there, and just be patient.
I didn't know the time process. That's very time affordable. 30 minutes or 35 minutes. We wait. Sometimes we wait 30, 35, 40 minutes for a table at a restaurant.
Or self-checkout at some of these stores.
Right, exactly.
And I heard a great line at a store this weekend. I'm kind of standing in a line, and this lady walks over, and the guy's in front of me. He goes, she's like, well, the self-checkout's over here. And he looked at her, he goes, ma'am, I don't work here.
Exactly.
I was like, that's fantastic.
I asked the lady.
That is fantastic.
I asked the lady at Walmart one time about 2 years ago. She goes, the self-checkout's open. I go, do I get a refund at the end of the self-checkout? She goes, why? I go, for doing your job. She just turned around and walked off.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not their fault. It's a corporate decision. But I can't stand self-checkout.
No, I don't like it.
And the thing is the store I was at, there were 4 people who were watching 4 of the checkout stands being used.
One person could watch it. The other 3 could have had registers open.
Yeah, that's exactly. And they only have like 2 registers open, and I'm like, what are we doing?
And here's my problem: why build 18 lanes if you're not going to have 18 employees manning them?
Now, I will tell you the Sam's Club they're at, because you can, when you're going through, you just scan it, and then you can check out everything on your phone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm all in on that.
Yeah, Sam's. As
so
you're
much
putting it in the buggy, you just hit the barcode, and it rings
Correct.
up your register. And then at the register, you just hit barcode to barcode. It tells you how much you owe. You put the card in. You're out the door.
I don't even go to the no. You don't even have to go to the checkout. You just
Pay on the
just hit
phone.
button
Oh,
and pay on the phone.
that's even better.
Fantastic.
That's even better. That's even better.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Hey, I need to talk to you about something that starts today, and it's the guy
Okay.
that I had the pleasure of meeting twice before he passed away. But I didn't know a whole lot about him. I knew that he was a legendary name in this area, but I didn't, because I'm not a fan of the sport so much. I didn't know how big a legend he was until I was talking to a friend of mine over the weekend, and he goes, "So y'all got a pretty big thing going down in Ocala this week, don't you?" And he's a big basketball guy. The Christmas tournament starts at Trinity Catholic this weekend, and it's going to honor Coach Haley, who created the Kingdom of the Sun tournament. And this was a friend of mine that lives in North Carolina, and he's got a son that's coming down to play in this or something. I forget whether it's his son or his cousin or his nephew or something. But Jim Haley was a big deal nationally, not just here in Ocala. And I wasn't quite aware of that until this weekend.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. I mean, I knew Jim Haley. My dad broadcast every single basketball game that Vanguard played for 10, 11 years, including all the state titles. And so I would go to a lot of the games. It started in 1976 when he started broadcasting Vanguard games exclusively. Before that, he broadcast the two Lake Weir State Championships with the Johnson brothers. And so, my relationship with Jim Haley has always been through my dad's eyes. And Jim Haley was at my dad's funeral, and he's just, for me, he was godlike. Because I remember Vanguard, and when I was 8 years old, and they went down to Lakeland and won the state title, and with Kenny Vaughns and Ingram Purvis and all of those guys. And when my son went to Vanguard, every time I saw Jim Haley, I would just introduce myself as Wes's son, and then we would just talk for 25 minutes, right, about specific games, and and he remembered every single game, and then he would remember all the battles he had with my dad if my dad was critical of him on the radio. But part of what made Vanguard great was because of the radio. And it sounds crazy now, but back then it was WFUZ. It was 93.7. It was 100,000 watts. And that signal at night was a clear channel signal, so they didn't have to reduce the signal. At night, it would carry all the way up to the Carolinas and Tennessee. And so when the Vanguard would go on the road, they would get off the bus, and it was like they were rock stars. There would people be there signing autographs. There would be media meeting them when they came off the bus. It was spectacular, and it was really cool to be a part of. In my small little way, sitting on the sidelines next to my dad. So, But Jim Haley, great coach. But what he was best at was developing talent and getting guys to play as a team. And he had football players. Dante Culpepper was a great basketball player, much better football player than basketball player. But he allowed Dante to play basketball the way Dante would thrive at basketball. And again, it's just such a great coach. Such an absolute great coach.
Well, this will be the first year, the inaugural holiday tournament named after Jim Haley. It's the Jim Haley Christmas Classic. It'll take place, gets underway December 20th, today, through the 23rd at Trinity Catholic. And they got a pretty big name coming in. Sean Stewart from Windermere, the 7-1 center out of Windermere. He's coming into play in this tournament. And, that's a kid that you're going to see play at a higher level next year and probably beyond.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a little miffed by the fact, two things. One, that Trinity having a Christmas tournament. And two, they called it the Jim Haley Invitational. The Kingdom of the Sun, which has been struggling the last 5 or 6 years, a lot of that has to do with coaching, but is really struggling for the last 5 or 6 years to get attendees. We always had high-level talent. Windermere has played in the Kingdom of the Sun before. They were going to play in it again this year, but then when they saw that Trinity was inviting some of the non-FHSAA schools or the Rock, the IMGs, they decided to go play there, and that's tough for the Kingdom. I don't know how long the Kingdom lasts under Butnick's leaving as the athletic director. The current head coach isn't organized enough to be able to figure out how to run a tournament, and it's losing money. And with the way the administration's run, they're not going to spend any money on sports.
Well, Carlos Villalobos, who is the head coach at Trinity, he did this. He said he owed this to Coach Haley to name the tournament after him. 22 years ago, Coach Haley met Coach Haley at Kingdom of the Sun as a assistant at PK Young, and he was in awe of Coach Haley until Coach Haley took him by the hand and said, "Son, I'm just a man like you. It's the game of basketball.
Right.
If you need any help, you let me know. I'll do whatever you need to do for me to help you. Here's my number and everything." And then Coach Haley is the one that suggested to Tommy Bond that he look at Villalobos as a serious candidate for the head coaching job, which he got at Trinity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, after the end of the year, I'll be able to tell you some more stories about Haley. Because he would go to, during the summer, they'd play a lot of games on Tuesdays and Thursday nights at Westport. And Haley would sit in a chair and just hold court. I think everybody, his health was failing. You knew you didn't have long with him, and you wanted to get any little nugget of information you could get. And he met my son, and I'll never forget this because my son did. I think he realizes now how big of a deal he is. But at the time, he looked at my son. He said, "There's no way in hell this kid is related to Wes Shudol." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Look, this kid could actually be an athlete. This kid looks like he's got talent." And he goes, "Wes Shudol couldn't do anything but complain about things." It was awesome, and so he was just a big influence in Ocala. And by the way, he is and I'll argue this to the day I die. He's the greatest coach of any sport that Ocala has or will ever have. And I saw Jim Simmons this weekend, head coach Forest High School, for a long, long time. I don't have the guts to say this to Jim Simmons' face, but Jim Haley's the best coach at the city of Ocala, Marion County will ever have.
That's high cotton because I can think of one name that comes to thought right away, and that's Stan Toole.
Look at their records and you compare it. I mean, Stan Toole, they both have, I guess, one has a stadium, one has a court.
Yeah.
But no. Jim Haley won, 4 state titles.
Yeah, he did.
Went to a whole lot more. How many All-Americans did Haley coach and develop? And I think that's the thing. A lot of guys now are getting other guys as players. Jim Haley developed.
Probably my North Side pride coming through with the Stan Toole thing. That's probably what that is.
I guess.
Hey, we got to take a break.
That's crazy.
We got to take a break. We'll be back more with Galen Unal after this timeout on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Are you wasting time boxing up packages and going to the post office or the UPS store? Are you tired of not knowing what you'll pay when you get there? Just Ship offers pickup service and flat rate packaging and postage rates, which takes the guesswork out of shipping while saving you time and money. So quit wasting valuable time and money. Call or text Just Ship at 352-234-3840. That's 352-234-3840. Just Shipped.
Are you or your loved one being released from a hospital and wondering how you'll manage? Inform your physician that you want to go to Palm Garden of Ocala at 2700 Southwest 34th Street for your rehabilitation. Palm Garden provides pain management, post-discharge follow-up, diabetic care, psychosocial support, and so much more. Plus, they even offer outpatient rehab. This award-winning care facility has a team of licensed professionals dedicated to enhancing your independence. Call 352-854-6262 today.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Monday. Before we get into the next story, Galen, I have to ask your opinion about something. Over the weekend, WOCA got a Skype request. You know how when you're on Skype, you know, we use that as one of our phone lines. When you're on Skype, you can get requests from people you don't know. Well, WOCA got a request over the weekend from Daisy Flowers, a webcam model. She would like to add us on Skype. I'm wondering, we're going to take your sage advice. Does Daisy Flowers get an ad on the WOCA, the Source Skype page?
That's a big no. No, no. Nothing good's going to come out of that.
Daisy Flowers wants to add us on Skype.
90 seconds of pleasure for 40 years of pain.
Oh, that would be just rich, wouldn't it? And the thing is, people fall for that. Somebody's going to add Daisy Flowers. Somebody's adding Daisy Flowers.
They do all the time where it wouldn't work, right?
So, speaking of not working, Urban Meyer, out of a job, gave his first interview to the NFL Network, which seemed a little strange to me, being the NFL Network skewered him, but I guess you want to keep the media happy, being that you think you're going to go right back into that job, so I guess you don't go after your colleagues. The one thing I got from him...
No, he wants a media job. He doesn't ever want to coach again. He wants to play and
the one thing I got from the whole thing, it ain't Urban Meyer's fault. When you listen to that interview, you can take a lot of things from, like, there's a couple times I think he sounds like he thinks that the situation was bad, that he would be a good coach, so he maybe not is done. Some of the things he said, some of the other things, he puts it on how he hates to lose, and his losing the press conferences was because you shouldn't talk to him right after a loss because he's just not a very good person to be around then. But the overall take I took from his interview with the NFL Network, none of this is Urban Meyer's fault. This is everybody around me's fault. I'm too damn good. This isn't my fault.
Of course. I mean, but that's what he would do here. Yeah, and by the way, I think the city of Gainesville and the media here at UF have a lot to do of what Urban Meyer became, because they thought he was a god. You know, they treated him like he was the greatest thing on the world. And then he left you. And then you tried to pick him apart.
By the way, my former boss included.
Oh, gosh. Well, there is no bigger fanboy on the planet than that guy. But, you look at all the columnists and the guys from Jacksonville who would come down and cover the Jags, from Orlando. They would just love Urban Meyer. And
Dooley never had a bad word to say about him, and that was surprising to me.
Why? Dooley, he's a big fish in a very little pond. And he loves himself.
Well, he
And
thinks
all
he
of
is.
those guys
He
do.
thinks he is.
All of those guys do. And so he never said anything. They never said anything bad about him. They never even criticized him for what was obviously going on with the program at the time. And
The
how
only
it
guy,
fell apart.
the only guy that criticized him didn't start criticizing him until he jumped on a junior reporter and said, "You talk about my kid that way, we'd be rolling in the dirt." Until he did that, till that incident, even the love of Interlochen, Florida, didn't have anything bad to say about him. But once that happened, I remember the only press person that wrote anything negative about Urban in that incident was Interlochen's love of the world, Mike Bianchi. But even before that, Bianchi loved him until that one incident.
Well, Bianchi was, I guess. I remember that incident. I remember that incident well. But Bianchi always takes top shots at people who can't fight back.
That was
That's what he does.
that was the day that that was the first and only day I ever got to go to Gator practice. I'm at Gator practice with the former owner of WMOP, Chris Doring, who is now at SEC Network. And we're standing there, and we watched this take place about 25, 30 feet from where we're standing. And I laughed, and sometimes I don't say the right things. I laughed to go, he wouldn't do that kind of, and used the word for dung to somebody my size, because he was in this guy's face. I forget the guy's name. He was in his face. He was from the Orlando paper, and he was in his face hard. And I just giggled. I kind of smirked and said he wouldn't do that to somebody my size. And Doring goes, "Shut up." The next day, Doring was told I was not allowed to back at practice. I was done.
Well, of course. I mean, it's not like Doring's going to say anything negative about his beloved
No.
Gators.
No.
Oh.
But I didn't realize that 30 feet away I could be. And I don't know that Urban Meyer heard me. It was probably a sports information director or something, an SID or intern or something. But I was not. I was told that I was not welcome back.
Yeah, all of that. And again, for the people who've never been in the media or like a media pool like that, they just sit there and talk about themselves most of the time. And, there are very few individuals in the media that would really give you your honest opinion because they're so worried. All they want to do is keep their job, just like most people. And they just wanted to get scooped, right? They got a piece of information that they're never going to share it. So it was practice was probably the most useless hours that I spent in my life, whether it was with Florida or the teams getting ready for the Gator Bowl or the Magic who used to have practice up in Jacksonville or the Jags. It was just an utter waste of my time. Really, anybody, and by the way, anybody in the media says, "Oh, I know what's going on. I learned something from practice."
No, you didn't.
No, you don't.
No, you
You
didn't.
can't even see anything.
No.
You're just surrounded by a bunch of huge human beings.
So, hey, when we come back, I'll tell you the only time I've been expelled, threatened to be expelled before from other press areas. I'll tell you the only time it really concerned me. We'll do that after the break. You're listening to Ocala Talks on WOCA, The Source.
Ocala International Airport. This is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Chris Barnes.
Now that Senate Democrat Joe Manchin says he will not vote for the legislation, it looks like Democrats are not going to be able to overcome Republican opposition in the Senate to pass President Biden